So today I want to just test this out. I've never done a live. There's no one here right now, just me with myself. And that's perfectly okay. And I want to talk about a topic that has come to me very frequently recently. And it's because, I've been thinking and doing a lot of stuff with my life recently, especially when it comes to feminine energy, manifestation, love, attraction, God, and all of these things. And I'm a person who has been extremely successful. By the way, I'm gonna do my makeup while I talk. But I'm a person who has been extremely successful with all of these things. I'm talking, I have the job of my dreams. I have marriage, I have a husband, I have the life that I want to have. I am extremely blessed in many, many areas. And I can tell you about 1,000 different things that I have manifested in my life. And maybe I manifested um, a lot of physical things, a lot of money, a lot of blessings, a lot of I also consider marriage to be something physical because it's somebody that is there and like something that helps you in your day-to-day life. But one of the greatest things that I've really, really manifested. One of the things that maybe people don't speak that much about, or that you misunderstand, or that you let aside as something secondary, is so much, so much peace and happiness in me and myself and my life. So that is something that I think most people, I mean, everybody kind of wants, but they think that peace and happiness comes from the other things that they get or that they manifest, or that when they get married, then they become peaceful and happy, or that when they get the money, they become really peaceful and really happy. And that's really not the case. I think peace and happiness and your inner, the state of your soul truly is what gets you the rest of things. So there is one thing going on right now, and that is feminine energy has become pretty popular. It was pretty popular when I started doing it and when I started learning about it. I'm not gonna lie, it was already around and it had been for a while, but I see it get mutated and change every time, more and more. So there's like different aspects to this thing. There's some women that say, hey, you have to be a traditional wife, cook, clean, raise the kids, and submit to your husband. And we've heard all of that, and that's pretty predominant right now. I think there's like a lot of movements around this idea. um, I want to preface this by saying I'm not against any of these things. I think women's freedom to choose is very important, and if they choose to do that, then that's perfectly okay. And then there's this other movement where that's like, you need to get a husband that gets you a lot of money, a rich husband that gets you bags, designer bags, and that takes you out, and that he's basically like an ATM machine for you, and that provides for you all these great things and goes the extra mile to keep you or to conquer you, to seduce you, or and then there's this other side of things that it's like trying to convince you to be some sort of escort or some sort of yeah, like become an object, objectify yourself and become an object yourself to appease or to attract this man who's gonna give you a lot of money, or basically get money from them. Not like a husband or anything, more like a sugar daddy, sugar baby type of arrangement. I think you know what I'm talking about. And I've noticed that all these things tend to be pretty extremist. And even though there are movements that are more in the middle, like more of a middle ground for all of this, even though that is real, it's still very normal for girls and young women to stray away and to end up in one extreme or the other. That is kind of concerning for different reasons. One of the reasons being that you should not ever let yourself be stripped away from your rights? And I think that's something that is going on a lot right now with women. You've heard it pretty much everywhere that there are women that are trying to let go of their right to vote or the household vote and all these things. And then there's the other extreme of women trying to be a girl boss and they want to make money and they need no man. And, we've heard of it plenty of. We've heard of it like a lot now by now. And all of these things, if you notice, even though they are complete opposite extremes, the reason why they do this is because they want to silence you. They really want you to not speak about your power or your knowledge, your inner conscious, and specifically women are very connected to their spirituality, to God, to the energy, to a lot of different things that are not as visible as money can be, or as a company could be, or an entrepreneurship, or all these things that kind of define success in our day-to-day lives. Women's success is very much connected to the spiritual realm, in my opinion. And I think both the girl boss and the trad wife, extreme trad wife propaganda, all of these things are more done so that you will be stripped away from that power that you naturally have. So either you don't vote and you're just stressing yourself out with stuff from your household, or you're just voting but stressing yourself out with things from your company or from whatever job you have, which in either case kind of leads to the same, to burn out women who are not heard. Because for the trad wives, they're not heard because they don't want to vote. They want their husband to be basically the head of the household and speak for them. And for the girl bosses, it's like one is extremely quiet and the other one is just screaming. So that's also not a good way to make yourself heard. One is too quiet, the other one is too loud, and that's basically, again, two very polar opposite extremes. Now, I am not really knowledgeable on the area of the girl bosses and the extreme feminist movements. That's not um an area of the internet that I live in or that I've worked with a lot, but I am very familiar with the other side, which is the trad wives or the more classic feminine and the family and all these things. So I feel a responsibility to speak about this. And I want to share a bit about my journey. The title of this live stream is when to put a stop to feminine energy. And that sounds a bit crazy, I know, especially if you are one of those people that completely loves, breathes, eats, and adores anything that has to do with feminine energy. But there's a really important conversation to be had, and that is regarding how there is also another extreme. I know feminine energy coaches and content always tells you that you shouldn't be overworked, you should be receiving, you should be cherished, loved, and adored. And I agree with all that, but you have to be very aware of not transforming into the complete opposite of that. So just being too much. And I will talk about my experience with it a little bit. So essentially, what I did is that I worked with feminine energy for a long time, especially when I really wanted to get married. Just being completely honest, I was in struggle mode. I would work a lot. I was great at my job. Yes, yes, yes. I was amazing. I was making money. I was climbing the ladder. I was doing all of those good things. I was amazing at my job. I had everything I wanted. I had clothes and friends and whatever. But I always wanted, and I had that wound of wanting to be loved, wanted to be cherished. I wanted to fall in love. I was really young and I wanted to experience all of that beautiful love story. So when a man came along that gave me a bit of attention, of course, I became obsessed. And we all know that story. I made all the mistakes that a woman can make in a relationship. Spoiler alert, that's my husband right now. I know. I I made all the mistakes. I sent voice notes crying, I wrote paragraphs, I was pretty into him, but it's like any young woman in love. I think that's nothing new, nothing odd. And for me, I realized I was very masculine or very unable to receive in many ways. And I wanted to take control of everything. And I wanted to be the one who led everything. And I wanted everything done my way. I would not give space to be courted or loved or surprised because I wanted to have control over everything. And I see that in my day to day so often. I see women still making this mistake this day. And it's painful to see, but I guess it's part of life. So that's when I came across content based on feminine energy, and I loved it. I became obsessed with it. I was so into it. And back then, it was in the inner work spirituality, love yourself type of feminine energy. It was more of a get him to adore you, get him to worship you, get him to treat you like a goddess, and all these things. Because that was really appealing to me at the moment. It was just standard. That's what I wanted. I found it entertaining, and I started doing it. And slowly but surely, when I started doing it, one thing led to another, one thing led to another, and I ended up doing more of inner work, loving myself. First, I did meditations to make him like me more, send me a text message, all these cute little things. By the way, every time they did work. I'm not gonna lie, they did work. And then I ended up just doing more of love yourself type of thing. So, long story short, um, everything worked. I manifested him, money, a better relationship with God, a better relationship with myself. I moved cities. I did a lot of things with that information. A lot of things with that information. I ate it up. I did great. I grew. I became better. All that. Now, I noticed one thing, and is that at the beginning, my way of working with feminine energy was super basic and instinctual. So I would do things like I would wear more dresses, I would wear more pink, I would wear more makeup, I would speak softer, I would do things like that, things that are stereotypically feminine and that you see and you relate to a woman. And that was great. I don't think that's wrong. I think that's a great first step when you are like in the moment that I was. That's what I needed to do. It worked great. And it slowly transformed into just me being more feminine, not acting, looking, and trying so hard to be more of a woman and more feminine, but actually my essence, my way of seeing things, my spirituality, just being more receiving oriented, more oriented to letting go of control, allowing God to love me, to help me, to send things my way, allowing the world to show me love, allowing myself to receive love. So I noticed that a lot of women that end up trapped or going really deep into this trad wife movement or this movement of just you have to be feminine, you have to submit, you have to just your husband is the whole provider, the sole provider, you shouldn't be. Some of these women even think they shouldn't be making money or that their husbands own the entirety of their money. So I think most of these women are really stuck in the basics or the physics of feminine energy, and they think that you have to adhere to all these crazy things to actually be feminine. And they think that if you make choices or if you speak out, then you're no longer feminine, when there's nothing further from that. A woman is made to be heard. She is in many ways a channel of God to communicate with earth, and I'm 100% sure of this. Women have a big relationship with God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. We are more in tune with that, and that's our role in society, in marriage, in everything. And that doesn't mean that we should be priestesses or anything like that. You could work the corporate, you can climb the corporate ladder, you can have a company, you can do whatever. You can be married, unmarried, you can be whatever. But I do think that in essence, that's our role within society. Why would we want to let go of her vote? Why would we want to be confined or confine that idea or that push, that necessity? Why would we confine that to the four walls of our home? If you are being called to that, if you're in the season of having babies, of raising kids, or of enjoying your marriage, and that's perfectly okay, but thinking that all women should be submitted to that, and that in all seasons of life we are going to want to not vote, or we want our husbands to make decisions for us, or we want to let go of that position in society, is extremely dangerous. And it's something that is very delicate. And I think those things are being brought up more right now because we want to be silenced, and we want to take society, the world, homes, marriages, we want to take the role of the woman and silence it and put it under dirt, never spoken about again. And that is very dangerous, in my opinion, because that is essentially what some may call it lower vibration, some may call it the devil, the enemy, whatever you want to call it. But I think that is the new world order, perhaps, if you're a bit more of a conspiracy theorist yourself. But I think essentially burying and silencing women is part of a very dark agenda that may come from different sources. I don't know, whatever you believe. There's different sources for these things, but it is definitely something that has become really dangerous and that we should not fall into. Before, they did all these extreme feminist movements to do the same, to overwork women, to take control of who raises children. I don't want to get too conspiracy theorist on you, but essentially that was a way of burying us as well. Even though it did come with a lot of rights, it ended up also stripping us away of many powers that we used to have before, and now we don't. But now we have a great balance. Now we have a lot of more rights. Why do we want to let go of these things? Well, we want to have less instead of more when we could always have more. You don't have to, if you want a successful marriage, successful life, if you want to have money, you don't have to suddenly say that you want to stop voting, or that voting leads you nowhere, or that your husband should be the one to make all decisions and that your voice is not supposed to be heard, or that only a married woman should have that right, or that an unmarried woman needs to have their brother, father, or whatever making decisions for her. That is absolutely insane. So, this is a new way that we are being silenced. Essentially, don't let yourself be silenced. If you're leaning more towards that extremist side of things, if you have been into feminine energy and you've been feeling great, and now you identify yourself a lot towards that idea, do not let that become an extreme for you. You should always keep your rights, keep your voice, keep the great things that life has for us, and then some more. You don't have to give up some things to get some others. So that happens a lot with many things. Is like people think, oh, if I want money, then I need to sacrifice time. If I want a husband, then I need to sacrifice my social life. There's always, you always think that you have to give something to get something, and most of the cases that is not true. So right now, if you want to grow the family culture, if you want to have more women raising kids, if you want to have more successful marriages, the way to do it is not stripping other women of their rights, or the same women of their rights. They have the rights for a reason. And just thinking that you have to give up something to get something in return is very basic minded, is very low consciousness minded, is very what many religions think that the devil wants of you. And yeah, I just wanted to bring here that topic. I know there's many people talking about it, but many people that talk about it are against the concept of feminine energy, or they lean more towards the extreme feminist type of thing. So I want to talk more to my community, to the people that think like me, that they also believe in marriage, family, in feminine energy, in love, beauty, all these things, but they also think that we are so close to losing the plot. We should not go that far. You should not go into escort territory, and you shouldn't go into house slave territory. So yeah, just this is a call for you to think about it, to really interiorize it a little bit. I'm doing a makeup because I'm hoping I can record some other videos right now. Currently, I have no one watching me. This is literally like my first live. I'm just testing out the whole thing. So yes, this is a message from me 5 years from now. When I see this video, I'm gonna be very amused, and I'm probably gonna think of all the things I could have done better. But hey, we all start somewhere, and I'm being called by God to speak more, to come here, to show my face, to stop being shy, or to stop keeping to myself. And that's what I'm doing. Here I am. I did my makeup, something very simple. Yes, I do use my hands. And hopefully, whoever watches this video can have a bit of a reflection about how you don't have to trade some things to get other things. How, yes, feminine energy is great, but there's a point where you have to kind of put a stop to it and reflect on so many different things that the world has for us. Because women are very powerful, and that power is on the rise, and that's why all these movements are taking a lot of strength, and they're moving fast towards us, but we should be united, and we should be really strong. We should be all discussing and meditating in all these topics so they don't catch us by surprise. Thank you. Bye bye.